Welcome back to the channel, where we break down global power moments that go far beyond headlines. Today's story is about a rare intersection of two highly controlled worlds. It's about what happens when secrecy meets spectacle, when restraint meets excess, and when one of the most calculated leaders on Earth witnesses a level of security that even he did not expect. This is a story of how Vladimir Putin was reportedly taken aback by the sheer scale of Kim Jong Un's military escort, and what that moment reveals about modern power in global diplomacy. Nothing is accidental. Every vehicle, every uniform, every movement is designed to send a message. When leaders meet, the real conversation often happens before a single word is spoken. It happens in the streets and the skies, and in the formations that surround them. Security becomes language. Kim Jong Un's escort operations are unlike those of any other leader. They are not designed merely to protect. They are designed to dominate visual space. Columns of armored vehicles, layers of troops, synchronized movements, air defenses, intelligence units, and decoys operate together as a single performance. The goal is not invisibility. The goal is presence for most world leaders, including Putin. Security is about efficiency and discretion. Russian presidential protection is famously layered, advanced, and silent. Routes are secured quietly. Airspace is controlled without display. Protection blends into infrastructure. Strength is communicated through absence of chaos. Kim Jong Un's approach is the opposite. His escort is meant to be seen. It stretches across cities, rail lines, and borders. It halts traffic, redirects civilians, and transforms ordinary movement into a military event. This difference alone is enough to create shock. When reports describe a $10 billion escort, they are not describing a single budget line. They are describing cumulative scale. Thousands of personnel, specialized equipment, decoy units, mobile command centers, electronic warfare capability, air defense readiness, intelligence coordination, logistics stretched across vast territory. When all of that moves at once, the implied cost becomes staggering for Putin, a leader who commands one of the world's most advanced security systems. The shock is not disbelief. It is recognition. Recognition of intent. Recognition of doctrine. Recognition that Kim Jong Un does not prioritize subtlety. Even among allies, the reason this matters is psychological. Kim Jong Un governs through visibility and unpredictability. His escort tells both domestic and foreign audiences the same thing. Access to him is rare, controlled, and dangerous to approach. The escort is not about fear alone. It is about myth. In North Korea, leadership is presented as sacred and vulnerable at the same time. The escort reinforces this paradox. The leader is powerful, yet constantly under threat. Protection becomes proof of importance. The more extreme the protection, the greater the perceived value of the individual being protected. Putin's system operates on a different logic. Russian power culture emphasizes inevitability. The leader does not need to prove protection. It is assumed. Excessive display can be interpreted as insecurity. This cultural difference explains why Kim's escort would stand out so dramatically when the two systems intersect. The contrast is impossible to ignore. One leader moves quietly through layers of invisible control. The other arrives surrounded by visible force. One signals permanence. The other signals vigilance. Another factor is internal messaging. Kim Jong Un's escort is as much for North Korea as it is for the world. It demonstrates loyalty. It keeps the military engaged. It reinforces hierarchy. Every soldier involved becomes part of the narrative. The escort is a moving demonstration of obedience from a logistical standpoint. The operation is extraordinary. Coordination across units, regions, and timelines must be flawless. Any failure would undermine the image. This means rehearsals, redundancies, and contingency planning on a massive scale. The cost is not just financial. It is organizational for Putin, whose security philosophy values minimal exposure. Such scale invites risk. Large movements create more variables. More people mean more potential leaks. More visibility means more unpredictability. The shock, therefore, is strategic rather than emotional. International observers often misinterpret this moment as competition. It is not. It is contrast. Two leaders expressing power through opposite methods. One through silence, One, through saturation, the idea of a $10 billion escort becomes symbolic. It represents how far Kim Jong Un is willing to go to control perception. It shows how North Korea invests disproportionate resources into leadership protection as a core pillar of governance. This moment also highlights how power is performed differently across systems. There is no universal language of strength. What appears excessive to one leader appears necessary to another. What shocks is not the money, but the philosophy behind it in the end. Putin being shocked by Kim Jong Un's massive military escort is not about surprise at wealth or capability. It is about witnessing a fundamentally different understanding of authority, one that relies on overwhelming visibility rather than quiet dominance. What makes this moment even more revealing is how it exposes the psychology behind leadership survival. Kim Jong Un's escort is not only about protection from external threats, but about internal control. When tens of thousands of eyes inside the system watch a leader move with overwhelming force, it reinforces discipline. It reminds every unit, every commander, and every official that loyalty is constantly observed and rewarded through proximity. The escort becomes a moving hierarchy, showing exactly who stands closest to power and who does not. For Putin, this level of visible mobilization carries a different implication. In systems where authority is stable, power does not need constant demonstration. Too much visibility can signal tension beneath the surface. That contrast is where the real shock lies. Kim Jong Un's strategy treats security as theater, while Putin's treats it as infrastructure. One is meant to be noticed. The other is meant to be felt without being seen. This difference also reflects how each leader relates to their population. Kim Jong Un rules through myth, ritual, and spectacle. His movements are events. Putin rules through normalization. His presence is meant to feel inevitable, almost routine. When these two philosophies collide, the result is not rivalry, but mutual awareness of how differently power can be constructed. The so-called $10 billion escort ultimately symbolizes excess as intention. It tells the world that resources are secondary control, and that perception matters as much as reality. It is a reminder that in some systems, security is not just a necessity, it is a foundation of legitimacy itself in the end. This story is not about money, nor about shock in an emotional sense. It is about recognition. Recognition that power does not follow one rulebook. Recognition that strength can be silent or overwhelming, invisible or unavoidable. And recognition that when leaders observe each other, they are not judging wealth, but philosophy. Thank you for watching this extended analysis. If you enjoy deep, thoughtful storytelling that breaks down global power without exaggeration or rumor, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications.